Hi and welcome to another episode of Tireless Wings TV. I'm Fabrizio Poli, I'm your host, and today we're going to be talking about private jet pilots. So now you're in the situation, you're finally going to buy your first private jet and you're faced with the dilemma of who am I going to hire to fly my airplane? Now, where a lot of aircraft owners get caught up in a mistake, which I think is a big mistake, is if they're buying a Gulfstream G550, they're going to go out there and just look for Gulfstream G550 experienced pilots. And I think that's wrong. Because if a pilot is a professional pilot and they've got a good background, they'll be able to fly any airplane. All you need to do is pay for their type rating, so for them to get qualified to fly that specific type of aircraft, bring in a guy for 3 or 4 weeks just to train them on that type, and then off they go, and they do a great job. But the personality match between your chief pilot and yourself is going to be key. Okay, so this is what we look at when we're advising an owner on buying an aircraft. We also look at the pilot thing, and we emphasize how important it is to hire the right man for the job and then pay for their type rating. Of course, if you find somebody that's got the experience on the type that you bought and they fit the personality, they've got the right personality which fits you, then fine, by all means, we'll save $50,000-$60,000. But let's really focus on finding the right person. The next thing which we look at with a pilot, number 2, is the aviation background. Now, I'm having flown as a pilot in the private jet world and also in the airline world. My view is that a pilot that has a background from the airlines is a much better pilot than someone that's just flown through and gone through the ranks of private aviation. Why? Because number 1, they've flown with many different people. Number 2, they've flown in and out many different airports. And number 3, they're regimented with standard operating procedures and they have a system which they use to fly. And they understand how this system works and how crew resource management works, communication between pilots works. They understand all that, okay? But sometimes airline guys don't necessarily fit in with the private jet world because in the airline world, everything's done for you, okay? You just have to show up, sign the papers and fly. But in the private jet world, you've got to prepare the aircraft, you've got to order the fuel, you've got to get the flight plan organized, and sometimes even go out there and buy the food for the passengers. So you do require a kind of different mindset. But there are guys out there, there's plenty of airline guys that will adapt really well to the private jet world. So that's really number 2. Number 3 is you've got to pay your pilots well, okay? Because a private jet needs to stay private. So if you're going to hire a guy to fly your airplane, you say, I'm just going to pay the guy $150,000 or $200,000 a year, which is an okay salary. He's going to be continuously sending out CVs and looking for another job, and then after 8-9 months, he's going to jump ship and he's going to leave. And as he leaves, what happens? Pilots talk. Pilots always talk about their previous job, their previous boss, etc., etc. So what you want to do is you really want to hire somebody that's going to stay with you a long time. And one way of doing that is paying them good money and giving them a good roster pattern where they've got enough time off to be able to spend with their family and their loved ones and do their hobbies and stuff like that. So that's really, really important. And then number 4 is, and just to sum everything up, a private jet needs to stay private. You need to keep it safe. The other thing I just want to mention here is piloting technique. Piloting technique is going to save you a lot of money in maintenance. If your pilots have got that background where they know that bringing the landing gear out too fast or too high speed or the flaps is going to, in the long run, damage the aircraft and cause the aircraft to be grounded. And the last thing you want to do is your aircraft to be grounded. You want your aircraft to be flying. You don't want to be burning unnecessary fuel and stuff like that. So this is, again, why you need a pilot with a good background, possibly from the airlines. And then we get their type ratings. Just to summarize, first of all, we go for personality. We hire the right man, and then we train him to fly that airplane. Number 2 is good aviation background, possibly from the airlines, even the military can be good. Okay, they're regimented, they've flown with many people, many different airports. They've got the right piloting technique. Number 3, you pay them good money, and we can advise you on that, and so that your private jet stays private. And that's all from me, Fabrizio Poli at Tireless Wings TV.